I'm glad we met. I never thought my life would stretch beyond the routines of Earth morning coffee, the quiet tap of my laptop keys, the muted hum of my city. Love, I had decided, was something that had passed me by, once vibrant, now reduced to faint echoes. But everything changed on that night in the desert. I had gone to watch the stars, something I'd done since childhood, when my father used to point out constellations with a steady hand. The sky was unusually alive that evening, streaks of light dancing across the horizon. I thought it was a meteor shower, until one of the lights broke away, descended, and landed in a hollow not far from where I stood. I should have run. Instead, I walked toward it, heart hammering in my chest. The air shimmered around the craft, heat bending the sand into waves. And then he stepped out. He wasn't human. Not exactly. His form was tall, lithe, his skin faintly luminous, as though it held the memory of stars. His eyes, impossibly dark and endless, locked onto mine. There was no fear in them, only recognition, as if he had been searching for me. Communication wasn't with words at first. It was with feelings, like tides pulling at my chest. Curiosity, warmth, a strange tenderness that melted the distance between us. I realized I was crying, though I wasn't sad. It was as though he reached past the walls I built around myself, walls no one had ever managed to breach. In the weeks that followed, I found myself drawn back to him. He told me his name, though it was more vibration than sound. He spoke of stars I'd never seen, of worlds where seas glowed violet and skies bled silver. But what I remember most was not his tales of other galaxies. It was the way he listened when I spoke of Earth, of my loneliness, of the ache of trying to belong in a world that always felt slightly out of reach. He never judged. He simply understood. Somewhere along the way, I realized I was falling in love. It wasn't sudden, it was a slow unfolding, like a flower opening to sunlight it didn't know it craved. Love with him felt vast. It wasn't about grand gestures but the quiet moments. His hand, warm against mine, the hum of his breath against my skin, the silence between us that felt fuller than words. I don't know what the future holds. He belongs to the stars, and I am rooted here, on Earth. But in the brief time we've shared, I have come to understand something. Love isn't always about permanence. Sometimes, it's about being seen, truly seen, for the first time in your life. And in his eyes, I found the universe. The deeper we fell into each other, the more impossible it became to ignore the truth. We were never meant to be. He told me once, his voice low and strained, that his kind were forbidden from forming bonds with humans. We are observers, he said, his hand trembling against mine. To feel this, it is dangerous. His people feared contamination, the blurring of lines between watcher and subject. If they knew about me, about us, they would come for him. For me. And yet, neither of us could stop. Every night I returned to the hollow where his ship lay cloaked beneath the desert air. The world outside fell away in those stolen hours, emails unanswered, calls ignored, my job neglected. All that mattered was the warmth of his presence, the way his voice carried both sorrow and wonder when he whispered. But shadows began to stretch over our fragile sanctuary. I noticed lights in the sky that were not stars, movements too precise to be natural. He grew restless, his eyes scanning the horizon with a quiet fear he couldn't disguise. They're looking for me, he admitted one night, his arms tightening around me as though he could shield me from the inevitable. They know I've broken the law. My heart sank. I wanted to scream at him for ever stepping into my life, for letting me love him when he must have known it would end like this. But the truth was crueler. I didn't regret a single moment. Even if love was forbidden, even if it placed a target on our backs, I couldn't undo what we had. And so we made a choice, reckless, desperate, ours. We would run. Not away from the world, but beyond it.
His ship was built for the stars, and he promised he could take me with him. I would never see Earth again, never feel the familiar weight of gravity or the sun on my skin. I would trade it all for him. The night we left, I looked back only once. The desert stretched behind me, silent, eternal. Ahead, his hand gripped mine, pulling me toward the vessel that would make me a fugitive not just on Earth, but across the galaxy. Love had marked me now, bright, searing, irreversible. And if the universe sought to punish us, let it. We had already chosen. The hum of his ship was like a heartbeat under my feet, steady, alive, carrying us higher and higher. Through the window, the Earth curved away into darkness, a fragile blue jewel slipping from sight. For a moment, I believed we'd done it, we had defied the impossible. Then the alarms began to wail. His eyes darkened with a pain I couldn't read, and he moved with a swiftness that frightened me, his hands flying across controls that spat streams of alien light. Outside, I saw them, sleek ships appearing like ghosts in the void, surrounding us in perfect formation. They found us, he whispered, voice breaking. The chase was brief. There was no outrunning them, not in his small craft. He turned to me, and in that look, I saw everything, love, despair, apology. They'll take you back, he said. You'll live. But they will not allow me to return. No, I cried, clutching him, refusing to hear it. We'll find another way. He cupped my face in his hands, his touch warm despite the cold expanse around us. You don't understand. To them, I am already lost. Loving you has condemned me. The ship shuddered as beams of light tore across its hull. I felt the air thinning, reality collapsing. He pressed his forehead against mine, and in that silent contact, he gave me his last gift, the flood of his memories. Worlds painted in colors I had no names for, oceans that burned with fire, skies alive with creatures that soared like living constellations. He let me feel all of it, so I would never forget him. And then, emptiness. When I woke, I was back in the desert. The sand was cool beneath my hands, the night still, the sky indifferent. The wreckage of his ship was gone, as though it had never existed. Only the echo of his presence remained, a hollow ache that the world expects me to move on. To fold myself back into the routines of Earth. But how can I? I carry the weight of the stars in my chest, and the memory of a love so fierce, the universe itself tore it from me. I lost him to the very laws that govern the cosmos. And yet, even in tragedy, I know this, for one fleeting, impossible span of time, I was seen, wholly and utterly, by someone who was never meant to love me. And that was enough to break me forever.